Big round of applause for JJ coming up right now. Come on, JJ.
Okay. 7 years ago, my mother died from breast cancer, and about a year ago, I started to get my life back. Until 10 months ago, my dad died from lung cancer. And 10 months ago, I had to start from scratch. Grief had become my entire life. So 8 weeks ago, I joined a bereavement group for adults who have lost a parent, and arrogantly and reluctantly I went, under the only conditions that I was a researcher and I was not a participant. I wanted to write about grief, so I need to hear people's stories about grief, but they didn't need to hear mine. I felt like I made myself the cool outsider of the group. You know, I was 17 when I lost my mom, so I was like, psh, whatever you're telling me, I had it worse, and I just made it very easy to remain unaffected throughout the group. And you know, it was going pretty well at first. I mean, it was going really well, as in I remained unaffected. I was dressing in armor, I had my blue blazer on and pressed shirts and sharp shoes, and I was still involved in a group and, you know, had the illusion of moving towards a healing process, and that really worked for me. Oh God, this is awful. Sorry. Thank you. This is my first time, obviously. After a while, it became really difficult for me to hold my composure. The homework that we were getting, that I had dubbed as super lame and really cheesy, was actually starting to get to me. They started asking questions like, what did your dad like to do, and who was he to you, and, you know, what was he like? And sorry. And so after some time, I stopped wearing the blazer, and my shoes were no longer heels, they were flats, and my armor was a t-shirt and jeans. And by the 7th week, I had nothing left. I couldn't fight it anymore, and so we were going around the group and we were doing this week's homework, which was to bring a positive thought to a negative thought. For instance, it was like, even though my dad is dead, nevertheless, I'm worthy of a full life. And that sort of thing. So you begin it with even though and you end it with nevertheless. So it comes to me and my hands are shaking a little bit like this. and they're sweating, and I'm trying really hard to pull myself together just to say, even though I won't have my parents at my sister's wedding, nevertheless it will be beautiful. And I have nothing left. I'm completely exhausted, and all of these questions and all of these emotions that have been building slowly behind my eyes, all these things I've actively worked against thinking about or even acknowledging, all of those things are coming to my mind, as like the way my dad used to fold his newspaper under his arm and carry it with him all day, from work to the bathroom to the pub and all the way back home again, how he would hoot and holler these awful noises when he would watch a Jays game. But it was always odd because he was so quiet and they would just shake the house. How he had this white gray mustache that he insisted was blonde, and how he would play piano when he was sad in the front room. And then I just smell the earth of his tomato plants. And all of these bombs, all of these things that have been building in the back of my mind just went off. And I started to cry. And after that, I collapsed and I started to bawl. And I completely broke down. And it was about time. And it was about time that I stopped trying to be so tough, but instead be brave and admit that I miss my parents. And it was about time that I allowed something to affect me emotionally, that I allowed for these women that were there to support me to do that, to support me. And it's about time that I stopped trying to define myself by my grief, and I stopped trying to define myself by the loss of my parents. And I'm gonna tell you right now that it's about damn time that I accept joy into my life, and I don't just watch it across the road, these beautiful people enjoying joyful things, because I want in. And that's what I'm gonna do starting today. Thank you so much.
God, I wish we all lived together. You know what I mean? Fucking so awesome. That's such a beautiful story, JJ. All right, another round of applause. Wow.